Ferrari's first lap in the SF-26 may have exposed something the rest of Formula One was not ready to see. This was supposed to be a controlled filming day. A quiet systems check. Nothing more. But almost immediately, the car began sending signals that could completely change the conversation before Spa. The way it responded, the questions it raised, and the details hidden beneath that first run all point toward one possibility. Ferrari may have found something much bigger than a simple upgrade. But there is a catch. Filming days can be deceptive, early impressions can be dangerous, and one overlooked detail could separate a genuine breakthrough from another painful false dawn. Because the most important result was not what Ferrari showed. It was what the team may have been trying not to reveal. Subscribe to the channel. Editor. To understand why that first lap mattered, you have to understand what a filming day is really supposed to be. It is not a full test. The car is not running through a complete race program. The team is not chasing the fastest possible lap. The conditions are controlled, the mileage is limited, and the tires are not the same as the ones used during a normal Grand Prix weekend. On paper, that should make the entire session feel almost unimportant. But inside Ferrari, every meter still matters. Because the first time a new car moves under its own power, the team is listening for problems that cannot be found inside a computer. Engineers can simulate airflow, suspension movement, braking pressure, and energy use for months. They can study thousands of virtual laps before the car ever reaches the track. But a simulation does not vibrate. It does not hit a bump. It does not make the driver suddenly lift off the throttle because something feels wrong. That is why the opening lap can reveal more than people expect. Not because it proves the car is fast, but because it shows whether the basic idea works in the real world. Imagine buying a brand new pair of running shoes. They may look perfect. They may be designed with the latest materials. Every measurement may say they should make you faster. Then you take the first step, and immediately, you know. Something feels right. Or it does not. For Ferrari, the SF-26 filming day was that first step. The car had to wake up cleanly. The systems had to communicate. The brakes had to respond. The power delivery had to feel predictable. The steering had to give the driver confidence before any serious speed was added. And that is where the tension begins. Because a filming day is designed to look calm from the outside, while inside the garage, every sensor can trigger a completely different emotion. One small warning can stop the car. One strange vibration can send engineers searching through layers of data. One unexpected response can force the team to question whether a problem is minor, or whether it is connected to the car's entire design. That sounds dramatic for a single lap. But Formula One cars are not ordinary machines. Everything is connected. A change in ride height can affect the airflow. A change in airflow can affect grip. Less grip can force the driver to correct the steering. Those corrections can hurt the tires. And suddenly, one small weakness becomes a problem that follows the car through an entire race weekend. This is why Ferrari could not treat the first run as a simple demonstration. Spa was already waiting. And Spa is not forgiving. It is a circuit where confidence matters, because the car is constantly being asked to do different things. It must remain stable at high speed, respond through long corners, handle heavy braking, and give the driver enough trust to attack sections where hesitation costs time. A car that feels nervous in one area can make the entire lap difficult. And this creates the first major question. Was Ferrari simply checking that the SF-26 could run without trouble, or was the team already searching for signs that the car could handle the unique pressure of Spa? The answer is not obvious. Filming days reveal only fragments. A short run can show whether the car behaves cleanly, but it cannot show how it performs over a full race distance. It cannot prove how the tires will react after many laps. It cannot tell Ferrari how the car will behave in traffic, in changing weather, or under the pressure of qualifying. That is the trap. A smooth first lap can create hope. But hope in Formula One can be dangerous. Ferrari has experienced moments when early confidence grew quickly, only for deeper weaknesses to appear later. That history changes how every positive sign must be judged. The team cannot afford to celebrate too early. The drivers cannot afford to trust a feeling that the data does not support. And the fans have learned that a promising beginning does not always lead to the result they were promised. But this filming day carried a different kind of weight. Not because one lap could answer every question. Because one lap could decide which questions Ferrari needed to ask next. If the car felt balanced immediately, the team could begin building performance. If it did not, Ferrari would have to spend valuable time fixing the foundation before searching for speed. That difference is enormous. It is like building a house. If the base is strong, you can focus on everything above it. If the base is weak, every new improvement adds weight to a problem that is already growing. And somewhere inside that first run, Ferrari received its first real clue. Not about whether the SF-26 was the fastest car. Not yet. The clue was about whether the car gave the team a stable platform to move forward. That is what made the opening lap so important. Because before Ferrari could think about attacking Spa, it needed to know whether the car was ready to be pushed at all. And what happened next would begin to reveal whether that confidence was real, or whether the first lap was hiding a much more complicated problem. Editor. Then came the part that made the entire session impossible to dismiss. Ferrari did not need a record lap. It did not need a dramatic headline. It needed consistency. Because one clean lap can happen by accident. A car can feel good for a few corners, then become unstable when the tires change, the fuel load shifts, or the driver begins to push harder. The real test begins when the same behavior appears again and again. That is what engineers search for during an early run. Not a perfect number, but a pattern. A predictable car gives the driver the same answer every time. Turn the steering, and the front responds. Press the brake, and the rear remains calm. Add power, and the car moves forward without forcing the driver to fight it. That may sound basic. In Formula 1, it is everything. A driver cannot attack a circuit like Spa while guessing what the car will do next. The speeds are too high. The corners arrive too quickly. Confidence must come before performance. And this is where the SF-26 story becomes more interesting. The dramatic part of a filming day is rarely the speed itself. The tires, fuel level, engine settings, and running plan are not fully known outside the team. That means any comparison with a normal Grand Prix lap would be misleading. But body language can still tell a story. Not the driver's body language after climbing out of the car. The car's body language on the circuit. Does it change direction smoothly? Does it look settled when the driver applies power? Does it remain calm through faster sections? Does the driver make one correction, or several? These small movements matter because they reveal whether the driver is controlling the car or reacting to it. Think of carrying a full glass of water across a room. When your steps are smooth, the water stays level. You move naturally, without thinking about every movement. But when the floor becomes uneven, your arms tighten. Your steps shorten. Every small correction creates another correction. A Formula 1 car can behave in the same way. When the balance is stable, the driver can focus on the corner ahead. When the balance is unstable, the driver is always recovering from the corner behind. That difference may not look dramatic to a casual viewer. But over a complete lap, it can decide whether a driver attacks with confidence or protects the car from itself. And Ferrari's most important question was beginning to take shape. Had the team created a car that allowed the driver to build speed naturally? Or had it created another machine that only worked inside a narrow and fragile window? That second possibility is the one every team fears. A narrow operating window means the car feels strong only under very specific conditions. The track temperature must be right. The tires must be prepared correctly. The ride height must stay inside a small range. The balance must remain almost perfect. Move outside that window, and performance disappears. It is like trying to stand on a thin line painted across the floor. One step to either side, and the advantage is gone. At Spa, that problem becomes even more dangerous. The lap is long. Different parts of the circuit demand different things. A setup that helps the car on one section can hurt it somewhere else. More wing can provide grip in the corners, but it can also slow the car on the straights. Less wing can increase straight-line speed, but it can leave the driver exposed through faster turns. Ferrari therefore needed more than a car that simply worked. It needed a car that could compromise without collapsing. That is the hidden battle before Spa. Every team must choose what to sacrifice. You cannot have maximum speed everywhere. You cannot build a car that behaves perfectly in every corner, under every condition, with every fuel load. The goal is to lose as little as possible. And a stable platform gives engineers more freedom to make those decisions. When the car is predictable, Ferrari can adjust the setup and understand the result. Add a little more front grip, and the team can measure what changed. Reduce drag, and the driver can explain where the car became more difficult. But when the platform is unstable, every change creates confusion. The engineers alter one part of the setup, then another problem appears somewhere else. They fix the front, and the rear becomes nervous. They protect the tires, and the car loses speed. They search for performance, but the feedback becomes harder to trust. That is why early filming day impressions can influence much more than one morning of running. They shape the direction of the next decisions. And those decisions can determine whether Ferrari arrives at Spa ready to refine the car, or still trying to understand it. But there was another layer. One that could not be measured by watching the car from the outside. The relationship between the driver's feeling and the data. This is where many promising starts become complicated. A driver may say the car feels better. The steering may feel cleaner. The rear may feel more secure. The braking may inspire more confidence. But the sensors can tell a different story. The car may feel calmer while producing less overall grip. It may feel easier to drive while leaving performance unused. It may protect the driver from sudden mistakes, but still struggle to generate the speed needed to compete at the front. Comfort and speed are not always the same thing. That sounds strange, but imagine two roads. One is smooth, wide, and easy to drive. The other is narrow, difficult, and much faster. The comfortable road feels better. The difficult road reaches the destination first. Formula One teams are always searching for the rare combination that offers both. A car that gives confidence, then rewards the driver for using it. That was the real value Ferrari needed from this first day. Not comfort alone. Not speed alone. A connection between the two. And if that connection was appearing earlier than expected, then the excitement around the SF-26 would make sense. But Ferrari still had no reason to relax. Because filming day running protects a car from the conditions that expose its deepest weaknesses. There is no full qualifying pressure. There is no crowded track. There is no long race stint with the tires slowly losing grip. There is no battle with another car forcing the driver away from the perfect line. And there may be no sudden weather change transforming the circuit within minutes. Spa can bring all of those problems together. That is why the first lap could be encouraging without being conclusive. It could suggest that Ferrari had built the right foundation. It could hint that the driver trusted the car. It could even show that the SF-26 responded cleanly when the team began its early checks. But the most important evidence would come later. Not when the car was alone. When it was under pressure. Because the difference between a promising Ferrari and a dangerous Ferrari is not how the car behaves when everything is controlled. It is how the car responds when control begins to disappear. And before Spa, that was the question hanging over every positive sign from the filming day. Had Ferrari simply produced a clean first impression? Or had it finally created a car capable of staying calm when the circuit became violent?